So comments like this are the reason why I create content on having a partner that chose to cheat, had a severe corn addiction, and I chose to stay. When I went through this 3 years ago, he's been on a path of sobriety for 3 years. We've done so much work, and now we're continuing to still do work by actually becoming certified marriage counselors. I could not find anything in the beginning where a woman chose to stay with someone who was a serial cheater, with someone with a severe corn addiction. I didn't even know what a corn addiction was at the time, so that was already shocking in itself. And having the relationship work. There was nothing. And it was one of the reasons, too, why I was very silent for 3 years. I didn't speak on it or say anything because my fear was like, I'm going to come out with all this content and I'm going to have the same outcome. I'm going to be divorced. And so I really just wanted to see what my partner did. He came to me about this last summer and he said, Eileen, I want to do this for the rest of my life. I want to help men. I wish I could prevent men from making these decisions. I can't, but I wanted to help these men do the work to restore their marriages, to get out of corn addiction, and to prevent infidelity from happening in the relationship, or to salvage and heal the marriage, rebuild that trust and intimacy by making decisions and having the tools and resources so they don't do this again. And I did. I felt so alone in the beginning. Talk about the loneliest feeling on earth. I was so alone. But I create content to help women with this feeling. You are not alone. And it has been so crazy to me to see how many women are actually struggling with this, how many men are struggling with corn addiction. In just this last 6 months, it's very humbling and very sobering to see how many men are struggling with this and really seeing the need to get help, to really see the end of this line that I can't continue on this. I'm going to be alone for the rest of my life. I'm going to lose my family. I'm going to lose the person I love the most in life if I do not change this pattern of behavior. So yes, I stayed, I prayed, I worked it out. One of the things, though, that I would like to caution a lot of women when looking at my story is that it's okay if things, number one, don't work out. And I know that's like, oh, Eileen, you're taking away my hope, right? But at the end of the day, you have to love yourself, and you can't control the decisions that these men are going to make. And that was literally the first thing that clicked in my brain when I chose to get my partner a second chance. It was something I felt like God asked me to do. And so I had to really give my husband the space to do the work. Number two, I set boundaries. I set very, very firm boundaries on what I expected in the change for his behavior. I expected him to join a support group, therapy, get in an accountability group, join SAA meetings. I wanted to see it all. I wanted to see him get support while I did my own individual work. And then eventually we did a marriage counseling, went on a marriage retreat, which was so healing to our relationship. Yes, I prayed. There were a lot of things, though, that I expected. I didn't just stay and accept the behaviors. I didn't just stay and pretend nothing had happened. I didn't just stay and remain silent. I spoke up and I said what it was I needed in order for the relationship to change. So I have had a few women DM me privately and said these things, that they chose to stay and they don't expect him to do the work, or they're questioning it. I've heard stories of women who are choosing to stay in very, very abusive situations to the point where it is detrimental to their mental health. I'm talking about to the point of unaliving thoughts. I've heard stories of women choosing to stay and being so unhappy in the relationship because this person has cheated multiple times. Those are not situations I recommend staying in. Am I saying get a divorce? Can't get a divorce unless you are absolutely ready to do it. But I do not recommend staying in that situation. Separate, tell them to leave until they do these boundaries that you are expecting of them. But you're not going to see a change in behavior if you tolerate it. And if you're tolerating it, what you actually do is become the addict's enabler. You become the enabler, which just increases and is actually a source to make the addiction worse. Is there hope of your marriage healing? Absolutely. But it's going to require you getting a voice. It's going to require you speaking up and saying what you need. It's going to require a lot of work, intense work, and therapy. Not a one-time therapy session, not a one-time consultation call, not a one-time going to SAA. It took us 3 years of really, really intense work to save this marriage. And that was Christian counseling, that was psychological counseling, that was cognitive therapy. We did a lot of work. So I hope that is not discouraging, but I also don't want to give you a false sense of hope if these things are happening.